Hello you wonderful YouTubers, welcome to my channel, Tiger Rose Rides. I'm out on a Saturday morning and I'm going to Lumies. Why am I going to Lumies again, you ask? Well, you don't, whatever the case. I'm going there because I've taken you up there in the week when there's hardly anything around in the car park. So it's Saturday today, so I'm going to take you up there again in the hope that it's going to be packed and we can have a look around the bikes. So that's why we're out now. It's currently, hang on, let me have a look. Currently, oh come on, 11:27. So we should catch a good crowd there for lunch, which is exactly what I'm going to do as well. And hopefully have a good look at what's on display, so to speak. Now, while I'm at it, this will be the introduction for the video, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This week, there will be no local history. Hooray, I hear a couple of you say. And others will go, oh. But I'm afraid no local history this week. I've got something in the pipeline. I'm just waiting for an email back to tell me that I can go and visit this place that I want to go to. And hopefully I'll have it all ready for next week, and you'll enjoy it as much as I hope I'll enjoy putting it together. The bike history this week is going to be Matchless, and consequently Matchless Northern. So let's see how that goes. Should be a good one. We all like Matchless, and I expect most of us like a Norton. So I'm going to go quiet. This isn't much of an introduction, I know. I'm going to go quiet and just let you enjoy the motorbike history, and hopefully by the time it's done we'll be at Lumies. If not, I'll pause the actual history, stick Lumies in, and then we can carry on from there. So enjoy.
A brief introduction to Matchless itself. Matchless is one of the oldest names in British motorcycle history, manufactured in Plumstead, London between 1899 and 1966. A wide range of models were produced under the Matchless name, ranging from small 2-strokes to 750cc 4-stroke twins. Matchless had a long history of racing success, and a Matchless ridden by Charlie Collier won the first single-cylinder race in the first Isle of Man TT in 1907. With a time of 4 hours and 8 minutes and an average speed of 38.21 miles per hour on a 3.5 horsepower Matchless, in 1938 Matchless and AJS became part of Associated Motorcycles Company, more commonly known as AMC, and both companies producing models under their own marks. During the amalgamations that occurred in the British motorcycle industry in the 1960s, the Matchless 4-stroke twin was replaced with the Norton twin, ending a long history of independent production by 1967. The Matchless singles had ceased production, so as you can see, a troubled history, but I feel they made the most of the bad hand they were dealt. This Matchless motorcycle was made in 1899. The production began in 1901, when Matchless was a trading name of Collier and Sons, her father Henry Herbert Collier and his sons Charlie and Harry. The Matchless tank badge was a winged M, and like many motorcycle manufacturers of the time, they started as bicycle manufacturers. They produced a Jap V twin powered bike in 1905 with one of the earliest swing arm rear suspensions coupled with leading link front forks. Charlie won the inaugural TVT singles race in 1907 at an average speed of 38.21 miles per hour in a time of 4 hours and 8 minutes and 8 seconds. Harry did not finish in 1907, but won in 1909, and Charlie won again in 1910, bringing Matchless motorcycles to the attention of the public. Matchless made mostly singles, but they also made V-twins from 496cc to 998cc, and they made their own engines from 1912 onwards. At the 1912 Olympia Motorcycle and Cycle Car Show, Matchless showed a V-twin powered cycle car, with 2 wheels at the front and a single drive wheel at the rear. Unusually, the drive was by shaft and bevel gear, and the frame was of pressed steel. It was priced at 100 guineas. Matchless was not given a contract to make motorcycles for the army during the First World War, so their efforts turned to war production and bike manufacturing ceased. Peacetime production resumed in 1919, concentrating on the V-twins for sidecar use, leaving singles until 1923. And in 1926, unfortunately, Henry Collier died, and by 1928, Matchless was a limited company, and in 1930 they launched a narrow single 400cc V-twin called the Silver Arrow, designed by Charlie. The Silver Arrow, launched in 1929, was a single valve V-twin with a 394cc engine. The 2 cylinders were set at 18 degrees with a single casting under a single head. The result looked odd, rather like a single that was too long and with an exhaust emerging from the manifold in its right corner and the carburettor in the middle of the block on the left. The odd appearance was accentuated, and in 1930 they launched the 593 overhead cam V4 called the Silver Hawk. About 60 of the 500 made still survive today. The Hawk was designed by youngest brother Bert, who was now active in the company, and he was responsible for the design right up to the war. In 1931, the Matchless bought A.J. Stevens Motorcycle Company, AJS, from the Stevens brothers. Matchless bought Sunbeam in the late 30s and then sold Sunbeam to BSA in 1943. The Matchless stroke AJS hairpin valve springs made their first appearance, and Matchless supplied engines for the V-twin versions of the Morgan three-wheeler from 1933 until Morgan production was halted by the outbreak of World War II in 1939. From 1935 on, they were Morgan's exclusive supplier of V-twin engines. A dozen surviving unused engines were still in storage at the Morgan Works in 1946 and were used to build the final batch of V-twin trikes for a Morgan dealer in Australia. Matchless also supplied engines after 1935 to 1940 to the Brough Superior Works. These engines were made to the specifications of Brough Superior and are not identical to similar engines used in Matchless motorcycles. The Brough Superior engines used a fork and blade rod configuration and cams ground to different specification and larger ports in the cylinders or heads. Associated Motorcycles, or AMC for short, was formed by the Collier brothers in 1938 as a parent company for Matchless and AJS motorcycles. AMC in post-war years absorbed Francis Bennett, James and Norton, and in 1941 Matchless Motorcycles introduced telescopic front forks called telehydraulic forks, and considered by some to be the first major innovation of British front suspension in 25 years. During the Second World War, Matchless manufactured 80,000 G3 and G3L models for the armed forces, and by 1956 they had 8 models in their lineup, but the number had dwindled in 1965 and the GL3 was the first to feature the telehydraulic front forks. Post-war landmarks started with the production of Matchless AJS 350cc and Matchless G80 500cc singles. Developed from the legendary wartime Matchless G3 produced for the Army. Competition models of the singles were produced from 1948, which gave the company some memorable wins. In 1949, the first Matchless AJS vertical twin, a 500cc, was produced. later to be joined by a 600cc, a 650cc vertical twins in 1946 and 1959 respectively. On the racing front, AMC were fielding the supercharged AJS Porcupine and the AJS 7R alongside the 1951 Matchless G45 500cc vertical twin. Even when supercharging was banned, Les Graham won the 1949 500cc World Championship on a normally aspirated Porcupine. For 1952, the Model G45 twin-cylinder production racer was introduced. Its pushrod 500cc overhead valve vertical twin-cylinder engine was based on the Roadster Model G9 and was housed in a modified AJS 7R chassis. Derek Farrant won the 1952 Manx Grand Prix at the 88.65 miles per hour, and AMC put the G45 into limited production. 53, there was a Clubman range of Matchless AJS 350cc and 500cc singles. AMC withdrew from factory-supported road racing at the end of 1954 season following the death of Ike Hatch and facing fierce competition from other European bikes. The Matchless G50 single-cylinder racer was made generally available for privateers in 1959 and competed against the Norton Manx, though its 90 by 78mm 50 brake horsepower engine and top speed near 135 miles per hour were slightly down on the Manx. The lighter Matchless could take the day and the tight and twisty circuits. With the G15 line, AMC built on its merits of the G12, but there were numerous changes to frame, forks, swinging arm, primary chain case, transmission, cycle parts and lubrication system. The P11 was last line of bikes with bonds to AMC. It used a modified G85CS frame, but there were stronger forks, completely new cycle parts, altered lubrication and modified primary chain cases, to mention but a few. AJS built predictable handling, comfortable, well-made, reliable and economical motorcycles for their day. Unfortunately, such attributes were not enough to keep them in business. Continuing poor sales led to the AMC becoming part of the new company called Norton Villiers in 1966 until 1973. In 1966, Associated Motorcycles went bankrupt and was taken over by Manganese Bronze Holdings, who formed Norton Villiers to oversee operations. At the time, Norton was the only motorcycle marque in the country that was making money. There was a P11 series that comprised of the following four models: the P11, which was 1967, the P11A in 1968, the P11 Ranger, which is 1968 and 69, and the P11 Ranger 750 in 1969. It is believed that production of the G15 series was halted late in 1968, early 69, with unsold samples on offer through 1969. The P11 series carried on production until the spring of 69, and then the P11 was offered either as a Norton or Matchless, but by heritage it was a Matchless bike. A new Harris Matchless G80 single was released in 1987, powered by an Australian Rotax 4-stroke single overhead cam 500cc engine. Components from Italy, such as front and rear Paoli suspension and Brembo disc brakes, were used, while harking back to the license-built Triumph Bonneville T140s, the frame doubled up as the oil tank. The model was offered in colours of silver, black or metallic burgundy, and although electric start and twin disc brakes were options priced at $2,700, which was £500 more than a Yamaha motorcycle of similar specification, it was not a successful product, and sadly, like most bikes do, production ended in the early 1990s. That ends this week's motorbike history. It comes to a bit of a shuddering halt. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, there's no local history this week, so I won't apologise for that. I am hopefully going to get a decent one. I'm just waiting for the email, so we'll see what happens.
So we're coming up to the last 200-300 meters before we turn off for Lumies. I've got to tell you, my fingers are blooming freezing. I am definitely getting some heated gloves. Here we are. Welcome to Lumies, the Moto Cafe. Oh, there's not as many as I thought, but there's more than there was midweek. I'll do then. So here we are at Lumies. Let's have a little look around. Oh, so cold. Well, tell you what I'll do. I'll go and have a cup of tea and a burger, and I'll come back to you in a bit.
Well, that's it for this week. Sorry there wasn't much at Lumies, but we'll catch up one day. So until next week, stay safe, ride safe, and take great care. Bye-bye now.